Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm so happy that you're here to learn how to improve your Spanish and become more fluent. So today I have 4 things that you need to stop doing in order to be more fluent in Spanish. First thing that we're gonna talk about is fillers. I did my research about this because I didn't know how to call this, but apparently it's called fillers and it's very common in English. You know, when you speak, you usually take some time to think and say things, and you usually go like, you know? I do it sometimes when I speak English and I think it's completely normal, but when you're speaking Spanish and you're using it too often, it kind of sounds like you're not fluent. So, for example, if I want to say I want tacos tomorrow, yo quiero tacos mañana, versus yo quiero tacos mañana. Which one do you think it sounds better? The first one or the second one? Let me know. I personally think the second one sounds better. Even though it's slow and it takes you a little bit to get the words together, it sounds better to say it without the fillers. So that's my point. In order to sound more fluent, you need to remove those fillers and start getting used to not use them, because it's a habit. Number 2, autocorrection. This is one thing that makes you sound less fluent in Spanish. And what I mean with this is when you're speaking Spanish and you make a mistake and you go back and correct yourself. Sometimes you need to do it. Like if the case is like you used the wrong verb or things like that, you need to correct in order to give the right idea. But if it's a mistake of pronunciation or something that you know or you noticed after you said it, my recommendation is keep going. I mean, just keep going. I mean, you know that you made a mistake, but keep going. Don't get stuck in the mistake that you made and try to correct it and then ask the person like, did I say it right? Or like, that was not it. Like, don't get stuck in your mistakes. Just keep going, because right now I'm speaking English and I probably made a lot of mistakes already. And the thing is that I just keep going. And if you keep going, people won't notice. People won't be like, oh, no, she said something that it's not grammatically correct. Like, really, when you're having a conversation, people are not really like paying that much attention on your pronunciation, or unless it's really, really dramatic. If it's something really drastic, people would tell you, or you might need to correct it. But if it's like mild mistake, just keep going, and that way you're gonna sound more fluent for sure. Number 3, pronunciation. I think pronunciation is the most obvious thing. Obviously, you need to have a good pronunciation in order to sound fluent. But there's a few mistakes that I want to mention, especially when you're pronouncing letters in Spanish. For example, one that it's very common is the R pronunciation. Some people think that you need to roll your R every time you see the letter, and that's not true. You only roll your R when a word starts with an R or when you see a double R. But if you're rolling the R all the time, that takes a lot of energy and effort, and it doesn't allow you to go with the flow. You don't have a fluent conversation because you're paying way too much attention to the R sound. So you're like trying so hard to pronounce the R, and like that doesn't allow you to flow in the conversation. So if you can't roll your R, that's totally fine. You don't need to sound like people think that you need to sound like that, but honestly you don't need to. Honestly, people in Costa Rica, they don't even roll their R's. They speak Spanish without rolling their R's, and that's native Spanish. So you don't have to worry about that too much. If you want to do it, perfect. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. But the thing is that don't get stuck in like, oh, I see an R, that means I have to roll, because you don't have to roll. Because first, you don't have to roll the R all the time, and second, if you don't roll your R, it's not like a big deal. And the last thing that you need to stop doing is stop translating word by word. I know everybody knows this. This is like an old thing. Everybody says that. But how can you stop translating? Okay, so let's say you started studying Spanish back in the day. Like you've been studying Spanish for years now. So you have the vocabulary and you understand the grammar, and you know how to speak Spanish, but you still don't sound fluent because you translate word by word. It takes you so much, it takes so much energy out of you that you feel exhausted after like 3 minutes. And that's normal. If you're translating in your head for like 1 minute, trust me, you're gonna be exhausted. So if you have all the knowledge and still not fluent, that's a good indicator that what you're lacking is listening skills. And I know we all want to speak, especially if you're learning another language, you want to speak. It feels great to speak, but you're not gonna be fluent if you don't learn to listen. You have to listen a lot. You have to listen to movies, to music, to people when they talk to you. Why do you think people get so fluent in Spanish when they move to a different country where nobody speaks English? Because they force themselves to listen. The only way that I improved my English, and when I say improved my English, I'm talking about my speaking. The only way I improved was when I was living in the US and Canada. That was the only way, because people were talking to me and I had to like pay like attention, 100% attention to what they were saying. And sometimes it's embarrassing to ask people, can you repeat that again? Can you repeat that again? Like in real life, it's so hard. So you get comfortable doing that. You know, if I have classes, people get comfortable. Can you repeat that again? But if you're like in real life and you need something, you have to pay attention and you really have to listen, and you do it over and over again until you are just comfortable. And then after that, you start speaking, because you are listening to the language in a different way. You're not translating, you're understanding how it works. And learning a language includes learning a culture. It's not about learning vocabulary and words. You have to learn the whole thing as a whole. Like as I learn English, I also learn about, you know, American culture, Canadian, and even England. And I love knowing all of that, because like I can communicate with people with the same kind of culture, and that's important. I think that's important. And if you feel like, oh my God, I have all this knowledge, I already know a lot of words in Spanish, but I still can't speak fluently, it's because you haven't practiced listening enough. So guys, I hope you like this video, and I hope to see you soon on my next one. Please subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.